Hello, my name is Thomas Jefferson. I was the third president of the United States, but today I want to talk to you about a place called ancient Greece. Doesn't that sound exciting? Sounds very exciting. Shake your head yes. Okay. Now, ancient Greece, as you see on the map behind me, ancient Greece existed from about 1000 to 337 BC. It's a really long time ago. And from looking at this map, you can see that it was spread across many islands and peninsulas in the Mediterranean Sea. A peninsula is a piece of land that kind of looks like a finger. Sorry, my head's going off the screen. But right up here, you can see all of these peninsulas. Very good. Now, these islands, there are so many of them, these islands were very rocky and they had rugged mountains. But the Greeks were smart, and they were able to adapt, and they used those rocks for some very important things. One of the things that the Greeks did to adapt was they used the rocks from those mountains to build things. They made stone blocks and columns. And as you can see behind me, they built some beautiful buildings. This behind me is a building called the Parthenon. And the Parthenon is a temple to Athena, the goddess of wisdom. And this temple, at one point, it's very old, so it doesn't have it anymore, it had a huge roof. And so they used all of these columns to hold the roof up. The Parthenon, as you can see it behind me, the Parthenon is located in Athens at a place called the Acropolis. And that's what we're taking a look at here right now. Let me get really big so I can see it better. Okay. And again, over here I am on top. This is one of the mountains that we could find. Now, Greek architecture, it is very influential, and they used it in many famous buildings, including the Lincoln Memorial, which you can find on the back of a penny, and the Supreme Court building. All of those buildings and many others down in Washington, D.C., have a good number of columns which were used extensively by the Greeks. Here you can see some examples of the Greek columns. There were three types. There was the Doric, which is over here. The Doric were rather plain at the top. Then we also had the Ionic. You can see up here at the top, up there, that they were a little more fancy. And then there was also the Corinthian column, which was extremely fancy. It took a long time to make those because of the carvings, and they were used by wealthy people. All of these columns can be found in many buildings across the world. Now, the ancient Greeks, like I said, they adapted to their land. Because they had very limited rich soil, often what they would do is they would farm on the hillsides by building terraces, just like the ancient Romans would do. And because there were so many islands, the Greek merchants, they would build ships and they would sail across the Mediterranean Sea in order to trade. And because there were mountains, because of the mountains, there were many small cities called city-states. Two examples of those would be Athens, right here that I'm touching, as well as Sparta down here. And oftentimes the city-states did not get along. There was a lot of competition between them, and they often went to war with each other. Greece is known as the birthplace of democracy, and direct democracy was first tried in one of the city-states known as Athens. Direct democracy is a government in which people vote to make their own rules and laws. And so what would happen is people, whoever wanted to participate in it, would gather every couple of weeks to vote and make decisions in regards to the laws. Now, in Greece, only men could vote. Only the men, as you can see here in this picture, only the men were allowed to vote. If you were a woman, or you were a slave, or if you were a non-Greek who happened to move to ancient Greece, you were not allowed to vote. And this direct democracy for the people, by the people, that was an idea that was used by people like me, Thomas Jefferson, when we helped to start the United States. I'm sure at some point you've heard of the Olympic Games. In fact, the Olympics are held in the summer and the winter every couple of years. Well, the first Olympics were held in ancient Greece. They were held in a place called Olympia when several very swift runners gathered together to compete. They came from all of the different city-states. Behind me, you can see an example of an athlete who was participating in a discus throw. And there were many of the competitions, many of the games that they played in the first Olympics are also events that are held in the Olympics today. In fact, the first modern Olympics was held in 1864. And in 2004, the Olympic Games actually went back to Greece to celebrate the founding of the Olympics. The ancient Greeks made many contributions, including the columns, the architecture, a lot of art like sculptures and paintings, and they were very good at adapting to their environment. Because they had limited rich soil, like I said, they did farming on terraces. Because they were located next to the ocean, they built ships in order to sail around the ocean and go to other places to trade. And the people of Greece, they had all kinds of jobs, but they primarily worked as farmers, shipbuilders, and traders. And they would, like I said, they would sail the Mediterranean Sea in order to travel to other places in order to trade. Well, once again, my name is Thomas Jefferson. I was the third president of the United States, and I hope you enjoyed our brief trip to ancient Greece.